Hey, now it's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting.
Hey guys, it's me, Steve, web contributor to 1061 evansville.com.
And unfortunately, there's really only one thing worth talking about in the wrestling world today. When we woke up to the sad news of Chyna Joanie Lauer passing away this morning.
Yep.
And, it's always sad, but it's never really surprising when wrestlers die at such a young age. 45 years old.
Yeah.
That's so young. It's such a shame. But Chyna was someone, especially after her WWE career, lived her life very, what's the word I want to use? Very uncautiously.
Yeah.
She lived her life to great excess, especially after WWE years. So Chyna, I have a lot of positive things and a lot of negative things to say about Chyna. Let's go ahead and start with a lot of the positive things. Steve, what were your thoughts about Chyna?
I love Chyna. She, 97 to 2001, she had a 5-year career in WWE. Such a strong presence. I loved her from the moment she ragdoll Terry till the moment she left, and even I tried to follow her afterwards.
What a strong debut that was.
Yes.
When it was, I believe, the February '97 pay-per-view. I believe it was called Final Four, and she just kind of ragdolled Terry.
Yes.
And it was so lasting, that impression. And then she became Triple H's valet, so to speak.
Bodyguard. Yep.
They had a real-life relationship off the air. Which is so strange to think about.
Yeah.
It just the differences in the way that they look. I can't imagine what that would be like behind closed doors. I try not to think about it very much, but sometimes it sneaks into my head, and that's what happens. She, in my opinion, there's been a great debate internally in the WWE. I don't think very much externally as whether or not Chyna should be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I think that fans want her in the Hall of Fame.
She has to be there. I think Triple H is the only thing keeping her out, and now they've lost a great opportunity.
Well, okay, so the management would say that she's too into the porn scene. That they don't want her associated with the WWE in the Hall of Fame, which is an argument I can understand. However, when you look at the contributions this woman made to wrestling, I was never a Chyna mark. It sounds like Steve was a big fan of Chyna.
I loved her.
I didn't love her on screen, but the impact she had on wrestling, not just women's wrestling, but wrestling in general, was profound. I mean, she was the first person where it was common to see wrestle with the guys.
Yeah.
Intercontinental champion.
3 times.
3 times. Had feuds with people like Jericho and Eddie Guerrero, and just was one of the guys, and was a woman. It was amazing.
Yeah, first woman in King of the Ring, first woman in Royal Rumble. She was, for a short time, the #1 contender to the WWF World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely remarkable.
Yes.
And it was actually feasible for her to have won the world title. There's no other woman in history you can say that about.
Yeah.
Broke down barriers left and right, was so visible during the WWE's most visible time.
Yeah.
Graced the cover of Playboy freaking magazine. And just the barriers she broke down were very, very important. As Steve mentioned, the list of first female to ... is endless.
Exactly.
Towards the end, started to get a little weird. She definitely became a victim of plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. And when I say victim, I don't mean it made her look worse. In fact, in a lot of ways, there was a time, around WrestleMania 17, where she actually looked kind of okay. Before a lot of the surgery, she looked kind of weird. And then recently, she looked kind of weird. But there was a heyday where she was presentable, I thought, and looked pretty decent. But it kind of got to her head, I feel like.
Yeah.
Became obsessed with celebrity, obsessed with stardom, would do any reality show she was asked to do, seemed to be inebriated in a lot of cases.
Yes.
I met Chyna once in 2004, actually I think maybe even more than once, when she came on to the Howard Stern show, and I worked there as an intern. But she came in under what I would just call sad circumstances, almost like what Howard Stern calls it in the whack pack. Okay. He has a group of weirdos that kind of come in and be weird on the show. Yeah. Beetlejuice, Crackhead Bob, Eric the actor are all kind of people among the whack pack. And Chyna kind of sadly fit into that group when she was on. Was singing weird songs about X-Pac. Was kind of just seemed visibly drunk and maybe even high on the show. And it was sad watching her decline.
Yeah.
Obviously went into a career of adult films. That was weird. So what do you think about some of this stuff, Steve? So what about the decline of Chyna?
I think some people take advantage of the decline of people. I know it happened with Scott Hall. I mean, she was definitely there and it was definitely present. The adult film industry, I didn't understand. Oddly enough, as a guy, I was excited to see it, but it was poorly done. It shouldn't have happened.
I was more excited to see X-Pac, I think, than spend one night in China personally.
Yeah,
and I will say this, as a one-word review of that tape, I have seen it as well. Whoa. Just whoa. Yeah. You know, I don't know what I saw.
Yeah, she's done a couple of professional done videos that were a little better, but I mean, she still shouldn't be an adult.
Which one do you recommend, Steve? Give the audience a good old review of recommendation, so to speak.
Probably the first one she did with Vivid, the backdoor into China.
The backdoor into China.
Yeah,
is the one
if you have to see a China movie, that's the one to see.
Okay, thank you for that update, and also. I believe her most recent career occupation was teaching foreign language in Japan. Who would have thought this stuff would have happened? But apparently, you know, she wasn't as healthy as we may have thought she was, and unfortunately is no longer with us.
Yeah.
So want to talk about some more memorable times on screen as a send-off, Steve?
Oh, my goodness.
My favorite moment is the one you probably mentioned first, which is the ragdolling of Terry.
Yeah, I mean, just to get there, I mean, just the stuff with DX was great. I mean,
legendary.
She wasn't the humor, but she was almost just that silent piece that they needed. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, teamed with two guys, and she's the muscle of the group.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
One of the memories I have is the first joint Intercontinental Champion, her with Chris Jericho.
I was going to say...
I really enjoyed that story.
The feud I remember her most with would probably be Jericho, because Jericho took her very seriously.
Yeah.
Jericho did her a lot of favors, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Had a really good match. I want to say it was Jericho, Chyna, and was Bob Holly in the Royal Rumble match at 2000?
That may have been.
I feel like that's what it was. I could be wrong about that third person, but it was like not watching a woman wrestle. It was remarkable, and I mean that as a compliment, in that it became not weird to see a woman wrestle a man.
Yeah, she could beat up the boys and do it believably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, had WrestleMania moments. I feel like 17 was a high point for her career. The Playboy magazine she's on the cover of, I saw it everywhere.
Two of them. She's on the cover of two different
Playboys.
Playboys.
Especially the first one, though. I remember.
I own them both.
I'm not surprised to hear that one at all. Steve sounded like he's a big fan of Chyna with their clothes off.
I'm a big fan of Chyna, across the board. My wife put her on my 25-year-old birthday cake. So from the get-go to now, I don't want to diminish any other death, but this one has hit me the hardest since Brian Pillman.
You're kidding me.
No. I woke up to Rob's message. Rob's the one that told me about this.
Boy, now I feel bad because I was kind of making light of it in the messages.
I understand.
I didn't realize you were affected.
She had a rough time, and it's weird to feel bad for a celebrity. But she was the first wrestling book I read. Just such an important time. In the Attitude Era, and like Rob said, not just women's wrestling, but wrestling in general. She was truly the ninth wonder of the world, and I will truly miss her.
I had no idea you were this affected by it. I did not realize. I'm sorry now.
Oh no, you're completely fine.
Okay.
Everybody has their opinions, and I know it was lighthearted. If I thought it was detrimental or something, I would have said something. But no, it's.
Well, yeah, I
love Chyna.
I understand,
and I will always remember Chyna, and not Chyna doll, and Chyna adult film star, and not Joanie Lauer, drunk girl on the street or drunk girl in the music video. She will always be Chyna to me.
Okay, and that was a touching way to wrap this up, Steve. So for myself, my tag team partner, Steve.